Mhm. Yes. Hello, sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. I am Venkat here. Very good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Sir, the time is only 3:20. The webinar will start around 3:30, 3:35. So that another 10 minutes so that others can join. Could you please wait for 5 to 10 minutes, sir?
That is fine. I can wait till
Yes,
it
sir.
starts at
Because
10 for me. So 10
okay,
minutes,
okay,
I'm
okay.
available.
Yes, sir, definitely, sir. We'll start after 5 10 minutes once other persons joins. Still time is there.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock here. It's 9:50 here in Ghana.
Yes, sir. Here it is 10 minutes. Still 10 more minutes is there. So we'll wait for 10 minutes, then we will start that once. Yes. 21.
Speaker has come.
Yes, sir.
We are not hearing you.
Hello, welcome everyone. Very good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon to one and all. We'll start the webinar in another 5 minutes. So far about 40 plus members, participants joined, and 100, more than 150 has registered so far. We will wait for another 5 minutes for other participants to join. I request the speaker, Mr. Dr. Foster Boating, to wait for 5 more minutes so that I can introduce first. Then you can proceed with that one.
That's okay.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
there.
Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome everyone to this webinar, the first trade talk series of 2024. Today, the topic of discussion is about the Ghana Cashew season 2024. Our speaker is Dr. Foster Botang, Deputy CEO in charge of Operation Tree Crop Development Authority, Ghana. Dr. Foster Boateng is a socio-economic development expert with over 30 years of experience in agriculture, public policy formation, and implementation. He is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Tree Crop Development Authority, TCDA. The Tree Crop Development Authority is a state-owned corporation tasked with regulating and developing Ghana's production, processing, and trading of 6 tree crops. He also serves as the current management board chair of Ghana's CSIR Crop Research Institute. Dr. Boateng is the immediate past AGRA regional head for West Africa, where he supervised AGRA programs in 4 countries, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Mali, and Nigeria. Foster formerly worked at the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection as a National Program Coordinator for African Development Bank Fund projects. He was the Country Program Manager for Self-Help International, an international NGO based in Waverly, Iowa, that focus on poverty reduction and food security. Dr. Foster Boateng holds a PhD in Applied Agriculture Economics and Policy from the University of Ghana. Now I invite our speaker, Dr. Foster Boateng, to present on the Ghana Cashew season 2024. Over to Dr. Boateng. Welcome you, sir,
Thank
once
you,
again.
Venkat.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Venkat, for the kind introduction. Good morning, cherished audience or listeners on the call. Please, can you see my screen? I'm trying to screen share. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
So then, thank you. Thank you so much. So Venkat, I'm going to start. I have been summoned by Venkat to speak to the overall cashew scenario in Ghana, focusing more on the 2024 season. And quickly, I just want to give a little background about the tree crop sector in Ghana, and then I'll zoom into today's discussion. First of all, why tree crops is so important to us in Ghana? Because in the past, those of you know Ghana, over a century now, our focus has been on cocoa as a major cash crop and a source of foreign exchange earnings for the country. But as you are aware, with climate change and other human activities like mining, all the geographies allocated for cocoa production can no longer support the enterprise. So government has to think outside the box and look for other crops that can also bring in same kind of foreign exchange to support our country. So on that note, Ghana government decided to look at 6 tree crops that we can develop because these tree crops have a tremendous economic diversification potential for inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. So that is why government thought it wise to promote other tree crops other than cocoa. Now, in view of that, government has set up an authority, and that is a tree crop authority. And our aim is to really develop and regulate the sector. Now, if you look at the tree crop in Ghana, geographically, every region in Ghana plants one of these tree crops. There are 6: mango, cashew, oil palm, coconut, rubber, and shea. Every part of the country, at least you can plant one of such tree crops. So it's a very important sector to transform our economy. Now, Tree Crop Development Authority, as I said, have been mandated with a vision to develop, diversify, and add value to ensure globally competitive and sustainable tree crop sector in the country. And our mission is we want to facilitate the development of the sector through research, capacity building, and providing services to value chain actors, and then also regulate the sector to ensure that players are playing according to the rules of the game. Then, as I said, our mandate is two. We have to regulate and create a conducive environment for growth and development of these industrial crops in Ghana, all with the aim to improve the economic situation in Ghana for rural households. As I said, we are promoting 6 tree crops, and as earlier mentioned, cashew, shea nut, oil palm, coconut, rubber, and mango. Now, I want to focus on today's discussion. Today's discussion, I'm supposed to look at cashew itself. And first of all, I'll touch on area under production for cashew. In terms of hectarage and yield, it is estimated that 260,000 hectares have been put into cultivation, including new areas yet to be matured that we have planted. Again, over 10 years, this growth, we have experienced 7% growth per annum in terms of land production. But it's slowed down in the last 5 years. The last 5 years, the growth has been about 7% per annum. Now, yield is around 620 kg per hectare on productive lands. But some areas in the country can register as high as 800 kilogram per hectare, though not so close to what Cambodia is getting, around 1.2 tons per hectare. We are nowhere near them. But then across West Africa, we seem to record the highest yield. Though Cote d'Ivoire, who is leading in production, is between 400 and 600. Nigeria and other places are doing 250. But I think in the West Africa sub-region, we seem to be the country that is doing very well in terms of yield per hectare. Now, in terms of the RCN production, according to Ministry of Food and Agriculture statistics, 2023, production was around 230,000 tons. But current situation in 2024, looking at the weather conditions, we registered low yields and low production. And so we are seeing production around, according to Ministry of Food and Agriculture 2024, around 200,000 metric tons. But recently engaging with the trade associations, they also put estimates around 160,000 tons. In fact, until the end of the year, we have to put all these figures together and validate and know the actual production levels. But it's fluctuating between 160,000 and 200,000 metric tons between MOFA and the trade associations, the estimates they are providing. We also anticipate growth to reach about 300,000 tons by 2030, which is possible and realistic, looking at the current interventions that government is putting in place, including the work that we are doing through TCDA, and also a new intervention going to be funded through a World Bank facility. Now, the question is, we also have to look at information about the season, the first season and the second season crops. Now, looking at 2024 crop has been crops has been later than expected due to hot and dry weather. In fact, we had a very terrible weather in 2024 that really affected production and also the yields. First crop was late, but significantly did not impact on the production. The second crop has been late too, with reports suggesting that quality is lower and has impacted the price. In fact, currently discussions held with stakeholders also point to the fact that they put the overall production, as I said, between 140,000 to 150,000 tons. But Ministry of Food and Agriculture data, as at now, is around 200,000, as I've said. But we need to validate all this at the end of the season. We also saw shortages in the market. And the shortages in the market are more due to slower and lower arrival across border from Cote d'Ivoire, because our season starts before Cote d'Ivoire. And though we saw that when Cote d'Ivoire opened their season, we see slower movement across borders. And speaking to trade associations, they are claiming that cross-border trade, as at the time of making this presentation, they peg it around 70,000 tons. But this is not reliable because some of them come through unapproved routes. In terms of quantity of RCN exported out of Ghana, it's not available because it's difficult getting the data from customs now, and plans are underway to get the customs data. Now, let's look at cashew prices in Ghana. In fact, with the establishment of Tree Crop Development Authority, the authority is also mandated to look at the price volatility in all the 6 commodities. And in cashew, we have put together a price mechanism in partnership with all the stakeholders in the value chain. And last year, before the opening of the 2024, the minimum producer price for RCN was pegged at 7 cedis per kilo. However, purchase price went up as a result of demand and supply. It went up to 9 cedis, but later dropped to 8 cedis. I think when Cote d'Ivoire started also releasing their production, because ours starts before them when they opened their trade. And I think it actually caused the prices to drop to 8 cedis. But again, looking at the current parameters that enabled us to develop the pricing formula in terms of exchange rate and also global market prices, on 25th of March 2024, the authority did an adjustment and announced the current MPP, the current minimum producer price, around to 8 cedis, 21 pesos, was announced. Current purchase price is now around 8.50, according to the trade associations. Now, in terms of the pricing, it is also based on certain parameters like moisture content at 10% or less, and then not count at about 180, and then KOR at 46 pounds. It's based on these parameters and these standards or quality standards that the prices were set. The MPP price was set. Now, in terms of current price with kernel, KOR and NC, sorry, please go back. Okay. In terms of current price with kernel, currently it offers around 1,150. That is the CFR for 48 pounds, and then 1,100 for 47 pounds. That's being sold. Next. This thing has hanged. Give me a few seconds. It has hanged. It's not moving. Yeah, it's not moving. I don't know why. Okay. Now, yes, it has moved. Volume of cashew processed in Ghana. Looking at 3-year period, from 2021 to 2023, if you look at amount of cashew processed, 2021, we recorded 16,000 metric tons. Then it dropped to 12,000 metric tons in 2022 and picked up again in 2023 to 16,000 metric tons. And this as a result of the few processes that are in the system, Usibras, and then Agrokeen, and a few others that are operating at cottage industry. But currently, installed capacity in the country is around 44, for these factories that I've mentioned, is around 44,250 tons in terms of RCN, including those who are not operating. Some of the factories have closed down. Then export. For export of kernels, if you look at the export of kernel from 2021 to 2023, 2021, we had 3,362, and it went down as 1,500. and later peaked again at 2,800. But this figure is not confirmed yet. This is what we gathered from the trade associations, but we need to confirm and validate. That's why I have a star on it. Major export destination for Ghana's cashew industry, I'm talking about the kernel, is UK, European Union, and the major destinations. In fact, that constitutes about 60% share in 2023. And now US is coming up as a second destination for our kernel exports, which is around 19%. The other destinations have also been identified as that of Middle East, Canada, and China is also coming up strongly. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, I'm having a challenge with my presentation here. It's not moving. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So in spite of all the good things that are happening in the Ghana's cashew industry, there are also few challenges that I need to mention to my audience. And what are the challenges confronting the cashew industry? The first one is sustaining production growth. How do we sustain the production growth? I mean, through improvements in production techniques. As I had already mentioned, the Ghana government is making investments in the area of research and coming out with planting materials that command genetic advantage that can help improve productivity. Then also improving smallholder farm incomes. What are we trying to do? I mean, in some areas, some of these because of the pricing mechanism that we put in place, it has also incentivized smallholder farmers to cultivate the cashew. And also in some places, we are trying to look at how we intercrop food crops with these tree crops. Then climate change challenges that are also coming up strongly. That really affected production in 2024. With this hot weather, most of the flowers aborted, and so production levels were very low. Lack of processing capacity, as I said. Now we can count on only 2 or 3 factories that are into processing, but all of them are processing below their installed capacity. So that's an area where we need to make more investment to enhance processing in the country. They're managing the large transition trade. There's a large transition trade, cross-border trade. In fact, some of the cross-border trade from Burkina Faso and other neighboring countries also brings in quality that does not match with the Ghanaian quality. So it could affect our quality reputation. And that's something that the authority would like to take a look at it to see how we can manage the large transit trade. Now, how can Ghana overcome the challenges? The first one is the technical support to farmers, as I've already mentioned, in terms of providing extension services and also other technologies that can improve on-farm productivity. Then improve supply of input, especially selected certified hybrid planting materials stock that under the World Bank project investment, we are going to invest in this area and strengthen R&D. Then also I mentioned intercropping of cashew as a climate resilient tree with food crops in a way to improve farmers' income. Then revitalization of the processing industry. In fact, as part of the World Bank project, we are targeting about 5 to 6 local industries in terms of processing that we can revamp the processing industry in Ghana to improve. Currently, our processing capacity, as I said, is only about 10% of what we produce. And so if we can even move it to about 20 to 25%, it can also improve farmers' income and also create jobs for our people. Again, propose solutions. Education, training, and capacity building of farmers, critical. Processing plant staff and cashew managers to improve competitiveness. We need to, as much as possible, to enhance capacity across the chain. Preserve the quality and identity of Ghana, as I said. But we seem to have a reputation for producing quality RCN. But as I said, looking at cross-border trade and also the practices of our farmers and the value chain actors, it is really affecting Ghana's quality. And that is where we need to pay attention to. And currently discussions are ongoing with Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Tree Crop Development Authority and our development partners to see how we can enhance the quality of RCN in Ghana. Then also, we'll focus on the relevant target markets for kernels where the permanent advantage of location. In fact, where Ghana is located, if you compare Ghana and Vietnam, I'll show you a slide right now. If you look at location supply advantage, where Ghana is, and if Ghana is supposed to export kernels to Europe, it will take Ghana 12 to 15 days. But if you take Vietnam, it will take Vietnam almost about 35 to 45 days in terms of transit. So in terms of location to market, we have a huge advantage. That's why we have to pay more attention into focusing on processing and can export more kernels to enhance revenue. Now, if you look at the American market, it will take Ghana 15 to 18 days. But if you are from Vietnam, it takes longer than that. So I think in terms of location supply chain advantages, Ghana has it. And so that's an area where we need to pay attention to. And there's a shorter lead times. Buyer needs less inventory and also longer shelf life. Fresher kernels when we are going to produce them in Ghana, because it takes a shorter time to get to the market. And so we are able to provide fresher kernels than Vietnam could in terms of the distance or location from Vietnam to the market. Then one advantage we also have that could make us competitive is the ability to meet buyers' requirements. If you look at our cashew, it's tasty, light color, and also less complex in terms of nearer to supply chain, as I indicated in the earlier slide. The distance from Ghana to the market is much shorter. And also food traceability. We need to enhance traceability to put confidence in the market about Ghanaian cashew for consumers in abroad. Then modern plants. How do we enhance and improve the processing plants or processes? And the food safety issues, we need to look at it to assure consumers of what they are consuming from Ghana. And then the supply chain security. How do we get enough RCN for processing? And that's something that Ghana wants to focus more attention on in the next 5 to 10 years so that we meet the buyer's requirement. So in a nutshell, what do we want to do? A competitive and a sustainable alternative for cashew buyers. As Ghana cashew become very competitive, sustainable, an opportunity for investors to come, a brighter future for smallholder families or smallholder farmers. And we believe that if we are able to enhance smallholder production, improve supply chain, modernize processing, and then in terms of location to market, we have that advantage, and we are able to take advantage of that. We are going to grow a very strong cashew sector for Ghana. Thank you for your attention. Hello? Hello?
Hello. Sir, thank you so much for such a detailed presentation. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for such a detailed presentation on the Ghana cashew season. Now we will go in for the question and answer section. I request the participant to raise their hands or place their questions in the chat box. So the question is from Yao. What are the government plans to increase local cashew processing?
All right. Do you want me to take them one after the other?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, I think there are a couple of things government is doing to improve the cashew processing. One, we are trying to look at the enabling environment. Recently we have the parliament has passed our regulation, and the regulation make provision for processors in terms of having access to having inventory for RCN that they will process. So in the regulation, what we are saying is processors can even buy ahead of before the season is opened, trading is opened. And then also we are trying to look at, in terms of the local processors, how are we going to help them in terms of access to capital? And so under the new World Bank facility, our plans are underway to provide support, TA support to these processors who are willing to expand production, to be able to get grants in a way to be able to facilitate commercial loans for them in terms of CAPEX and OPEX, so that they can improve on their machinery and then also improve on their inventory. So basically, this is what we are trying to do under the World Bank project. It's for a period of 6 years.
Okay, sir. So you have mentioned in the presentation that there is a shortage of cashew in Ghana. Is it only related to weather conditions, or it is also related to cashew trees' age? Is it the combination of both, or only due to the weather phenomenon?
I will say a combination of both. I mean, the weather phenomenon actually affected our production level this year, as I said.
Okay.
Most of the flowers we saw started aborting when the weather was so hot, and so it affected production. But again, we also have, in terms of old trees, and as I said, what the government is trying to do is to make available to farmers to rehabilitate their farms. Under the new project, we are going to fund support for cashew producers to get new cultivars that command genetic advantage. And the focus will be on existing farms. We are going to focus 70% of our resources on existing farms to rehabilitate them. And then also commit 30% for new farms.
Over to Mr. Sudhir Kumar. Mr. Sudhir Kumar is there?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Boteng, for this insightful presentation. I would like to understand if there is any incentive for local processing here. Because local processing, because of there is a limited market for the other byproduct of cashew, which makes it commercial unviable for local production. So is there certain incentive you are planning to offer for the local processor who are willing to process locally? My second question is what Tree Crop Authority is doing to further improve the cashew production in Ghana? And also, as you rightly mentioned, the yield is quite low compared to some of the other cashew producing countries. So what Tree Crop Authority is planning to do to improve further yield of Ghanaian crops?
Okay, thank you. I think as earlier mentioned, there are 3 things the government is trying to do to improve production. I think first of all, in terms of research and development, we need to invest in research and development. Though we are already doing that, but we need to double our effort in research and development. Cocoa Research Institute currently has been mandated to carry out research and development and pests and diseases in this area. Also working closely with Ministry of Food and Agriculture to do some on-farm trials. So more investments are going to be put into research and development. More investment are going to be put into on-farm productivity in terms of making quality cultivars, high improved quality cultivars that would have genetic advantage for smallholder farmers. So that's what we are doing now. Again, we are also providing support for farmers in terms of how they can dry their cashew, because we need to improve on the quality, as I've already mentioned. Quality is critical for us. And so this is what we are going to do. Also, as part of it, those processes. Well, again, with farmers, we are also trying to come up with these minimum producer price as an incentive for farmers to produce. Finally, we are also trying to look at, in terms of if we can do local processing, then it can also enhance farmers' access to market. For processors, there are three things we are doing. We are creating the enabling environment, as I said. If you have a foreign processor or any processor operating in our free zone area, I think they enjoy free taxes for 10 years. And for me, that is a huge support to processors. And also, we are ensuring that processors have access to RCN for processing, and also looking at how best we can improve access to energy, because energy costs can also kill processors. So these are areas where Ghana government, through TCDA, is going to do to support processors.
Thank you so much. How many traders registered so far in 2024?
Sorry?
How many traders registered so far in 2024?
Okay. I think so far, we haven't finished the registration, but I remember that within the value chain, including nursery operators, including traders, I can think of 1,861 actors who have so far registered. But I think the registration is still ongoing.
Okay, sir. Now over to Mr. Marichelvan. Is Marichelvan is there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Botang. Thank you very much for the insightful presentation. My question is on two parts. One is about the current, the quality issues which is been denting Ghana's RCN image in the last 2 to 3 years, which is specifically about infestation, what we call as spots when we do a cutting test, and in processing it's called PKW. So it has been observed in the last 2-3 years, the spots when it comes to SOT, cutting out, and when we test it, it's if it is portion 1, it's triple or 5 times when the cashew is actually peeled. This has dented Ghana's cashew image in the last 2 to 3 years, especially in India. I'm not very sure about Vietnam. Has this been noticed by TCDA? Question number one is that. And the second is the amount of moisture, cashew with high moisture seeping into Tema for exports. Sometimes I've individually observed the exporters, due to pressure of time, vessel cutoff, they don't dry it well. In turn, the processing color becomes dull in the destination, and it impacts the origin's name. So we are in a situation in southern India, at least, where people are not very keen on Ghana until the couple of weeks back. Now the situation has abruptly changed. But this has definitely dented Ghana's image in the last 2 to 3 years. One. The second part is about kernels. I've seen one of your very insightful news article where you are looking at developing a market for broken kernels, which has been a problem for processors thinking about processing in anywhere in Africa for that reason. So that's a challenge faced by most of the processors, or being faced by most of the processors, which has been one of the reasons where processing in Africa has not been as successful as it should have been. So have you worked on your earlier vision that, developing a consumer market for brokens in Ghana? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If I got your submission right, first of all, yes, some of the problems you outlined, I identify myself. I agree with you on that one. We align. We understand that the quality for Ghana RCN has fallen. Even a recent study done by MOFA points out to that fact. And then if you look at the pricing formula, we insist that farmers are supposed to dry their nuts up to, moisture content of 10% or below. But usually, because you have a lot of pressure on the farmer from the same traders, you have many traders chasing fewer goods. So they don't even allow the farmer a time to dry, ample time to dry the cashew. People want to pick them. In some places, they pick the cashew and say, oh, let me pick it, I'll dry it, and I'll reduce your weight by, let's say, 2 kilos. All these things are illegal because if you look at that regulation, the regulation speaks to the fact that cashew should be sold at least at a moisture content of 10% or below. But what we see a lot of traders mopping up whatever they can lay hands on. So for us, it's something that TCDA, now that the regulation has been passed, we put in place a task force to monitor that. Second, we are going to make investments for our farmers to do the drying. As I said, we have acquired a facility that will run for 6 years. And we are starting this year. We will provide moisture meters, we provide drying facilities for these farmers in certain vantage points so that we can address the issue of high moisture content of the RCN that they sell. Then also, we are also talking about cross-border trade, where we have cashew coming from other countries. How do we monitor that? Well, it could also dent our image in terms of the quality. These are areas that TCDA, working with other institutions to see how best we can monitor, especially working with those at our borders and then also at the ports as much as possible. Now that, as I said, the regulation is out, we are rolling out the regulation in full. And also you talk about promoting consumption. It's also part of our regulation, it's part of the investments we are making under these new projects I'm talking about. How do we push consumption in the country? These are things that we are focusing on as part of the new investments. Then you are talking also about processing. How do we enhance processing? The quality processing also depends on the processing equipment they are using, their technology, their know-how, and expertise. It's also part of the support that we are giving to the local processors under the project. We are targeting currently, somebody asked a question, how many processors do you have? If my memory serves me right, the active processors, the large one we have so far is UC Brass, and then we have AgroKing, which is a medium scale, a small to medium scale. And currently we have one coming up around Bui in the northern region. It's a Chinese company who is also here to process. There are a few, what do I call it? A couple of cottage industry level processing. And these are, we are going to focus attention in the next 10 years, in the next 6 years, at least if we can revamp 4 to 5 small to medium scale processes, and also promote 2 large processes, and then continue to support our cottage industry level. I think the processing industry would bring more jobs to our people. So I think as part of us, we as I said, more investment will be thrown into how we build their processing capacity, how we build their technology skills, and then also how we make available to them the raw materials.
So thank you so much. And the next question is, what are the government plans to procure the machines for better processing?
Sorry, I didn't get that, please.
What are the government plans to procure the machines for better processing?
To procure machines, is that what you said?
Yes.
No, government actually will not get into purchasing machines or procuring machines for processors, but we make available facility that processors can assess and then buy the kind of equipment they need to buy. But government is not going to be involved in buying equipment for processors. I mean, government will not do that, but government will create the enabling environment. And I believe that I'm not Minister of Finance, and I'm not in charge of fiscal policy, but I believe that as part of the work that TCD is doing, we are also commissioning a study to look at areas where we need to provide evidence to government to look at how tax issues will be certain equipment can enjoy tax exemptions to promote processing.
Yes, sir. Sir, you have mentioned that 2024 Ghana crop is roughly 20% short compared to last year. Is it the same case with other West African countries?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat that
Sir,
question
you
again?
have mentioned in your presentation that Ghana crop is short by at least 20% when compared to last year. The person is asking, is it the same case with other West African countries?
Yeah, I think I don't know the situation, but I think what I'm getting so far, what I'm getting across West Africa is the production affected most of the countries, but I don't have the real figures. But I think on the surface, it's not only Ghana. The weather condition also affected a number of countries. I know it affected Burkina, it affected Guinea-Bissau and other areas. I haven't heard about Cote d'Ivoire, but I believe strongly that I'm sure it could affect Cote d'Ivoire production because if you look at the cross-border volumes that are being reported from Cote d'Ivoire, it's much lower than last year. So I could anticipate that, or I tend to believe that they also were hit by the same challenge.
Okay. Now over to Mr. Arun Rajkumar. Is Mr. Arun is there?
Good morning, Mr. Bodhi.
Good morning.
Sir, my question is about the cocoa solan shoot virus that has been affecting the cocoa production and the cocoa plants. Does that have any effect on the cashew production as well, or is it affecting the cashew trees as well?
Please come again. I heard cocoa and what? Come again.
The cocoa solan shoot virus that has been affecting the cocoa trees, the current situation in Ghana.
Yes.
Is that affecting the cashew plants as well, or does that have any effect on the
No,
cashew
no.
production?
It has no effect on cashew production at all.
Okay. Thank you.
So what are the top quality features of Ghana ASEAN?
What
Hello.
the top?
What are the
Yes.
top quality features of Ghana ASEAN?
Well, I think now, if you look at the KOR, it's improving. I think some places they are beginning to, though we set the minimum at 46 pounds, some areas I stand to be corrected. I think the data I got from Minister of Food and Agriculture is between now 48 and in some areas, they are even getting 51. I mean, so I think the quality in some of the regions are improving. And that is why TCDA is convinced that if we make more investments into improving the quality, we'll be able to hit the ceiling, about 52 pounds or so.
Okay, thank you so much. So the next question is, recently the Cocoa Research Institute has announced that they developed a new cashew variety to increase productivity. Are there any plans to introduce this variety soon? Do you see challenges in adapting to this variety?
Thank you. I think Cocoa Research Institute, as I already mentioned, is one of the research institutions we are going to work with them under the 6-year project that the World Bank facility is going to fund. And they are supposed to look at developing new cultivars. In fact, we are providing resources for them to promote these new cultivars. And I believe that the next season, in fact, we'll be floating tenders very soon. And the next season, we are likely to hit the market with the new varieties or the new technologies they have, as already mentioned. So Cocoa Research Institute is one of our partners, and whatever materials they are having, we are providing resources for them to promote. So I believe next season, we'll see these new varieties in the hands of farmers.
It's nice to hear that one. So we are going to see a new variety soon, maybe in the next season in Ghana. Thanks for the development for that story.
Yeah.
So how many cashew processing companies are in Ghana? What is the total installed capacity?
I think in my presentation, I tried to give an estimate that currently we have about the three major ones that are operating. Usibras as a large scale one. Usibras, that's a large scale. And then we also have a few small, medium, which is Agrokeen. And then we have one Chinese one that has come up recently in up north around Bupei area. But there are also little bit of micro or cottage level industry. But I will say that most of them folded up, but I can think of these three that are operational, but we are trying to revamp a couple of them with these new facilities I'm talking about. Some of them have shown interest. So we have commissioned a study to look into which ones we can bring to life.
Yes, sir. So please mention the total quantity of RCN arrived so far since the beginning of this season and when the season is about to finish.
Yeah, I think again in my presentation, I mentioned that there are a couple of estimates hovering around, going around. I mean, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, who is the authority, have told us that this year we are recording 200,000 metric tons, as against our usual 230,000 metric tons. The trade associations are also floating different figures, around 160,000 metric tons. They are still steady ongoing. So I would say that roughly we are between 160 and 200,000. But until the season ends, then we can validate these figures as much as possible.
So could you please tell me how much has arrived so far? Your figures is around in between 150 and 200,000 tons. How much has arrived so far in the maybe from February to April?
So, sorry, I'm not getting your.
So how much quantity of RCN has arrived in the last 3 months? Maybe starting from February to April end. Now we are in the end of April. How much quantity has arrived so far? Is there any estimation on that one?
In Ghana, you mean in Ghana from neighboring countries? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, overall you can mention.
Yes. Yeah, I think I gave a rough estimate because and it's not reliable. You know, what we gathered from the trade associations around 70,000 metric tons between that period that you are mentioning. But the question is, these figures are not reliable. We need to validate them and cross-check. So I'm afraid to put a specific figure out there. But what we are getting in our estimates around 70,000.
Okay.
Between the period that you
Between
mentioned.
the period.
Yeah.
It includes cross-border trade also or only Ghana's trade?
This one is the one coming from Cote d'Ivoire. That's the information we are getting from the traders. Okay. But I believe strongly that it will be more than that because Burkina Faso also pass through our ports to export. You know, okay. And when all these cashews leave our port, it's considered as produce from Ghana. So,
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So arrivals quality and quantity is low because at this situation, is all the crop going to evacuate from the country or we can expect the low quality crop is going to be carried to next season?
No, I think that even it's difficult to keep an inventory. The traders will tell you, even you can't find the crop to buy. But as I said, when we peg the minimum price, we put at the lower price about 46 pounds at a moisture content of 10%. Okay. But as I said, in some pockets of the production areas, we are recording 48. And some are recording even as high as 50, 51 in some of the areas, in the production areas, especially those who are on the flanks of our borders with Cote d'Ivoire and other countries. We are recording almost about between 48 and 50. So the quality is actually improving. I mean, the quality has started improving. But as I said, TCDA looking at this success story or this feedback, we feel that we can make more investment to improve our quality.
Okay. Over to Mr. Sudhir Kumar. Mr. Sudhir is there?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, it's again a follow-up questions on my earlier question. As you mentioned that in order to encourage processing, probably we'll have a different buying window. For processor, you will have some separate buying window, and then for the normal traders, you'll have different buying window. But looking at some of the neighboring country like in Benin or even in CIV, this has not helped. This has triggered further smuggling to the neighboring country. So how do you intend to address this?
I didn't get the first part of it. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah. So as you mentioned earlier, to encourage the local processing, we will have some exclusive buying window for the processors. Like during that buying window,
Yes.
only processors can buy, and probably like there will be a separate buying window for the other traders. But looking at the neighboring country, especially in Benin or in CIV, whenever this happens, the crop starts moving through cross border to other countries. So that triggers a lot of smuggling to the other country, and that's probably
Yeah,
like loss of forex for the country. Yeah. So how do you intend to address this?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, for us, I think we know the install capacity of some of these processes. Apart from providing a special window for them to buy or stock their inventory prior to before trading starts, there are other incentives we are looking at. If we are able to process, we need to track how much you bought and how much you have processed. Because if we are giving a window to buy, and you are buying beyond your installed capacity, then we need to question. Then also, if you are processed, we need to have evidence of what you are processed, because what you are processing would also help you enjoy more other incentives. So I agree. I mean, we need to be vigilant in terms of smuggling, but at the same time, with the incentives put in place, we think it will enable the processors to buy the quantities they need to process. But again, as I said, smuggling across our borders require a lot of vigilance. I mean, on top of my head, I don't have a solution, but it's something that TCDA may wrap its head around it and see what we can do. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So how much quantity of RCN exported so far from Ghana? Do you have any figures on that one, sir?
No, I think in my presentation, I was explicit saying that these export figures are from customs.
Okay.
And as I said now, I haven't gotten the full picture where I sit, the full picture of the exports. We have requested for those figures.
Okay,
but I believe strongly that probably at some point we'll get it. Give us maybe by close of May, we should be able to get some estimates coming through.
Okay, sir. So when the season is about to completed, because this time the season started late, the second crop also started late. When the season is likely to end?
Well, from the look of things, we made travel. I think it was 2 months late, so we expect to extend extra 2 months. We're 2 months late into the season, almost a month or two late into the season. So it's likely to extend also a little bit, 2 months, month or 2 months into the season.
That means up to July it will be extended? Up to July or
Sorry?
August? Up to July, the season is likely to be extended?
Yeah. Thereabout, June, July, thereabouts.
Okay. Any other questions from others? From other participants? Any other questions? Once again, Mr. Sudhir Kumar has raised his hand. Over to Mr. Sudhir. Mr. Sudhir is there?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Another follow-up questions. You earlier mentioned that in order to improve the quality, you are looking at supporting farmer with some drying infrastructure. So I would like to understand a bit more detail what kind of drying infrastructure or what kind of drying support you have.
Thank you. As an authority, we don't do the last mile implementation, but we are working with the Cashew Council and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to look at the appropriate technology that or the kind of support in terms of infrastructure that we need. So we have the resources to fund. But as I said, in terms of specifics, I don't have it on top of my head. But what we know is we want to look at what has worked elsewhere in terms of appropriate drying facilities. And we are in discussion with Cashew Council, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and the farmer organizations themselves to see what is appropriate in their case. So on top of my head, I cannot say we want to provide this type of gadget or that type of gadget, but we are looking for an appropriate drying facility. But as for moisture meters, we are making them available to the farmer organizations.
So one final question from Deep Ricari. With this, we would like to end this section. Over to Deep Ricari.
Sorry?
Hello, Deep Ricari is there? This is one final question. Over to
Yes,
Deep
yes. Good morning.
Ricari. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Boteng. Good morning, Mr. Venkatraman. How are you?
Good morning.
Fine,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. See, my question is that when the TCDA control will be we'll be seeing in the ground in terms of moisture and price controls.
Hello? Go ahead.
Did you hear?
Yes,
Actually,
please go ahead.
yeah, what is my question that when the TCDA control will see really the impact in the ground, as we are not seeing a control of control so far as in terms of moisture and price. So when we are going to see that impact actually, what is the another next step for the controls in the grounds?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think in my submission, I said, TCDA, let me give you a background. We were established not long ago. I mean, we've been in existence for about 3 years. As a nascent organization, we may also have our challenges in terms of the resources that we need. But again, what we intend to do now that the regulation has been passed, we are enforcing, as I said, first of all, you may enforce that farmers should dry the tin to a certain level of moisture content. But we also have to provide facility and support to them to be able to do so. I'm sorry that some of the traders are stampeding farmers to buy wet nuts, but it's illegal. So our officers on the ground, we have now expanded our operation to the zonal level. And we are working with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and the district assemblies and the district security agencies to ensure that anybody who buys wet nut is for me, is forbidden. It's illegal. Now that the law has come out, it's illegal. So the enforcement is what we are trying to help as much as possible, work and partner with a number of institutions, even including Cashew Council itself, because most of the members are part of Cashew Council. And again, the registration can also help us to track and see those recalcitrant traders who are buying wet nuts. Okay, so that's what we are trying to do. I mean, I wish we could do all of them at the same time, but I believe strongly that we'll get there and finally we'll be able to clamp down on those who are buying wet nuts. It is not easy, but we are working at it, sir.
Sure, thank you.
With this, we are coming to the end of this questionnaire section. Now I thank you, Mr. Boteng sir, for such a detailed presentation and answering the participants' questions in a detailed manner. With this, we will end this webinar. I am thanking Mr. Dr. Foster Boteng once again for such a wonderful presentation and answering each and every queries of the participants in an elaborate manner. Thank you, sir, once again. I also thank all the participants who has participated in this webinar. Our chat section will be open for another 5 to 10 minutes so that you can chat with each others. With this, we'll wind up the session. Chat box will be open. You can use it. Thank you, speaker sir, once again.
And Venkat, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Sir.
Mm.